Hey everyone, this is John Peterson. Thanks for joining us on the Mindset Podcast. Today I want to introduce you to our sponsor, Tom Sherman with Benchmark Mortgage. This guy's amazing. He's opened up his office here for us to use as a studio. So Tom, tell us about yourself.
Hey, thanks so much, John. Tom Sherman with Benchmark Mortgage. I've been in the mortgage business for 25 years, and I like to refer to myself as a financial partner. So often when you introduce someone as a mortgage lender, it has all kinds of negative connotation, right? So I like to say, introduce us as your financial partner. And our goal is to help your clients be better stewards of their resources. My ultimate goal is to help people reach financial freedom. And we do that through the process of borrowing money and ultimately paying that debt off.
I love it.
So
how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, best way to reach me is my email, tom.sherman@benchmark.us. tom.sherman@benchmark.us.
Awesome, man. Appreciate you again opening up your office to us, and enjoy the show.
Thank you.
What's up, everyone? Thanks for coming back and checking out our next podcast. Today, we've got Deana Custer with Monument Realty. She is, what's your official title over there?
Well, I am the Director of Talent Acquisition, but I do lots of stuff.
/ my friend.
/ your friend.
Yeah, she's
First
my friend.
and foremost.
And so, no, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
It was kind of cool the way we met. I'm trying to think.
I stalked you till I could hire you.
Exactly. I was trying to think how many months.
Gave you guilt trips, did everything I could to get you.
I was trying to think of how many months it was. But yeah, it was Lisa K initially talked to me about joining Monument and stuff like that. And just so you kind of have an idea, I don't really tell anyone like questions, anything like that about the podcast because I want it to be raw, real. We could talk about anything. There's nothing off limits. And so with that said, I want to jump in straight into the Monument and the leads because I'm going to use this as a recruiting tool, right? The podcast is mainly going to be about mindset and that we can speak to our thoughts because most people they've never even heard that. So to me, that's the biggest aha moment I'm getting out of the seminars that I teach and the classes that I teach on mindset.
Yes.
Is like, whoa, wait, what? Like, you know, right? We talk about where your thoughts come from, all that. And it's just the feedback we're getting is so cool. And so I love today because you used to be in ministry.
Yep.
And so tell us just a little bit about yourself, kind of your background real quick so everyone knows.
Yes. Well, I always say, once in ministry, it's just who you are. It's not really a coat that you can take off and hang in the closet. It's just your skin, it's just who you are and how you roll. And that's why I love what we do is because it's the closest thing to ministry there is. It's, finding people and looking into their hearts and their souls and their giftings and their talents and drawing that out as a coach.
Yep.
And then polishing that up. And, sometimes you see in people what they don't see yet. And so
That's definitely one of the gifts I have. I call it the diamond in the rough, right? And it's like, if you would just do this, this, and this, you would be,
right.
Yeah.
It's hard not, as coaches, we're supposed to guide them, but sometimes you just want to just say, here, just do this. Here's a mirror. See what I see.
See what I see. Exactly.
And then go for it. And I think that's why I love my job so much is because we get to see that potential in people and then we get to see them walk it out. And we get to speak to it. And we get to, we know they deserve the best possible opportunity, and we know we work for a company that gives us that and gives them that.
And I feel the same way. That's why I love like helping with the agents, right? Recruiting, coaching, real estate, helping buyers and sellers, right? Still do that. The investment stuff. And so like I really, I used to read it years ago, like find something that if money was no object, what would you do? And like that's me. Like I truly, and I'm sure you feel the same way because of what you said. I don't really feel like I work. Like I love doing what I do.
Yes, and sometimes you come home and you're spent because we give it all out every single day. That's the only way to do it right. Yeah. But I was laughing with somebody this morning, and I've told you this before too, but sometimes I forget I get paid for this.
You have. You're like the office calls like, hey, your check's been here a couple weeks. You want to come pick it up?
For the last time. But I just like, it's so fulfilling that I just feel like this is what I should be doing anyway, and someone's willing to pay me for this.
That's it. Well, and honestly, I think when you love what you do, at least for me, I lose track of days.
Yes.
I'll be like, right? So it's the same thing. You get into it, you're doing your thing. Like, someone will be like, hey, tomorrow's Friday night. What are you doing? I'm like, I love my life. I don't look, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love weekends, but
Yeah.
it's not like I'm looking for Friday night or Saturday to go relax or party or whatever people do.
No.
It's like I lose track of the days.
You do. It's really the first vocation outside of ministry that I can't wait to get to work. I can't wait.
Nice.
I'm like walking in the door smiling. I'm leaving smiling.
Yeah.
And I'm just, it's such a blessing. And I know you'll agree, like when you find that deserving agent, and we look for, our 3 P's are positive,
We're picky.
professional,
Yeah, we're picky.
productive, and picky.
Yeah.
We have 4
No, we
Ps.
are. John Peterson. I just added picky.
Right. So positive, professional, productive, and I know a lot of companies will say that they are choosy when it comes to their agents, but we are fanatical, especially about that first P, about the positivity piece. It's paramount to everything else. Because we know not every day is a perfect day in real estate.
Right.
You've got crazy people out there.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got difficult situations and sometimes disappointments, and it just takes that positivity, not of just yourself, but of the people around you.
Of course.
So, and to be able to take an agent out there who is working super hard and has the right heart, and they want to serve people, and yes, they want to make more money, and yes, they want to take it to the next level, and yes, they want to be everything they can be, but at the heart of the agent, the type of agent we look for, there is a heart for people.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's about loving and serving people. And if they will do that, then everything else falls into place.
Well, and that's why I love Monument, right? Because my big thing, I've always taught on mindset,
Yeah.
but the hugest component is integrity.
Yes.
Right? And I give stories when I'm teaching classes, and it's funny because people are like, you thought that? I mean, there was a deal, I say probably a year ago, where we had I think it was around 200,000, and we had, 30 some offers on it. Long story short, the top 3, one of them was an all cash offer with no buyer's agent. It was just them, so I would make the most on that. And then there was another offer that was, I think, conventional, whatever. But the conventional was actually a better offer. And when I'm teaching the class, I'm like, I had the thought, right?
Yep.
My seller's not going to know any difference.
Right.
I'm the expert, right? And so I was kind of leaning towards that, right? Because I'm just like, geez, that's an extra 3% that I'm going to pick up, right? That's another $6,000.
Yeah.
And so anyways, long story short, slept on it. Of course, didn't sleep, the Holy Spirit, didn't sleep good. And like the whole time, this is all I'm hearing. Don't do it. Don't do it,
Yep.
right? And so woke up, didn't sleep well. I already knew. So I was like, okay, made the decision. And it's like, once you make that decision, right? Because it's in the spiritual realm, then it's like things got back to normal, had that peace again. Here's the irony. So we executed the other deal. I think 2 days into their option period, they backed out because they didn't realize it was a septic tank. Guess who was in second position? The cash deal. So I ended up getting it, right? Now, not every deal is going to happen like that,
Right.
but I love giving, because I don't know why, and you probably get this, especially being from ministry, because I have a ministry background as well. People put us on this pedestal, and they think we're perfect and that we don't do anything wrong. And I used to tell people all the time, right? I used to run a singles group, had like 1,500 people. In fact, I still have it. I just don't really do anything on it. But they would put me up there, and I'm like, please don't do that. Like, I'm going to let you down.
Yeah.
I do stupid stuff.
Well,
I'm human.
And I think the most wonderful thing about you too is that there's a humility about you. And this is why I stalked you for months, because I really sensed something special when I interviewed you the first time. And there wasn't just a confidence that you listen to the Lord and you move and you speak as he says, move and speak. You're also willing to share mistakes that you've made in the past. You're also willing to be vulnerable in front of the people that you're trying to lead, which I think is huge and unfortunately rare.
Yeah.
And so when I saw that heart and I saw the way people responded to you, and you've been on my show several times, and every time you will be on there tomorrow morning. And I will get, like I always do, I will get a ton of feedback, and I will get text messages and emails asking for you to return, because you are able to speak into the lives of so many people in such a short amount of time and really connect. And for you, I think this is more than a job.
Oh, without a doubt.
It's not just a job.
Calling.
It's not.
It's my
your
purpose,
calling.
my destiny.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, that's
why I tell people, Deana, like, I truly feel, and that's why I share the real stuff, the crap, the losing everything 6 years ago, getting kicked out, jail, I like all the stuff, right? Because this is what I realized is, like, once God healed me, like emotionally of all that stuff, and really it had to do with forgiving my ex, right? Because a lot of it was because of her. I went to another level, like as far as my peace. And so like I tell people all the time now, like I just feel so alive and free. I have this crazy peace, which is Jesus, right? But I want everyone to feel like that. And I never really understood, like one of the, I think we all have like a verse that the Holy Spirit or God always tells us, right? And so for me, it was that verse where Jesus is saying, heal the sick, but I've come to heal the brokenhearted. Yes. And he like keeps telling me that. So like one of my gifts is physical healing when I pray for people. And even that, I'm real with it, because there's times I've prayed for people that doctors have not been able to figure out for years what it was, and they got instantly healed. Yep. Then the next person, literally 5 minutes later that I prayed for that was in line, had a migraine headache and it didn't go away. Right? So I just kind of like was like, that used to mess with me a little bit until one time the Lord just kind of showed me, like, I just need you to show up and pray and I'll do it, right? It's what's going on in their life. Yes. And so for me, like just having those interactions and relationships, right? And it's just like you, the more I get to know you, the more I like you, right? And it's it's because we're spending time together. And I think so many people miss that with the Lord. Yeah. It's like just spending time with him. I've had experiences with Jesus that blow my mind, that make no sense. And so because of all that, forgiving my ex, the anger, the bitterness, all that, right? That was one huge key, forgiving her. And then like just the healing he did in my heart. So that's what I see now is so many people need emotional healing, right? And there's a couple agents that I've done. And again, I don't even know what to call them. The church that trained me calls them freedom sessions. But you tell someone that, they're like, they don't really understand. Right. There was an agent in our monument. I met her maybe a month ago when I spoke at SEALs. And so she messaged me afterwards and was like, hey, how can I meet with you? Because I charge for it. And she's like, how can I get with you to do that? And so anyways, long story short, I don't want to mention her name, but we're going to get her testimony, actually a few of them. But with her, I told her what I charged, and she was just like, okay, well, just, because of my situation, I can't afford that right now. Heard the Lord say, do it for free. Yeah. And so I said, I just heard him say, do it for free. She's like, what? I was like, yeah. I was like, I know his voice. Like, I know what he says, right? So anyways, we did the session, and she was kind of blown away. Yeah, like what she saw in the spirit and all that, right? Because they've never experienced anything like this. And the hard thing is they try to have me explain it, and I can't. Other than I'm like, we're going to your subconscious, we're going to the spiritual realm, and stuff is going to happen. And I'll tell him, like, we'll go as far as you want to go. God will keep exposing, because ultimately he wants to heal that person, right? Yeah. And so anyways, Victor interviewed her the other day over Zoom, and he said even in the testimonial Zoom, and she knows we're going to post this, she started getting emotional. And you know what I mean? It's just when you've had experiences like that, it doesn't matter when someone's like, I don't believe that, brother. They get so, I don't even know the word. I want to be nice. But when they're just like, well, I don't believe in healing. That was Old Testament. Before, years ago, I used to want to argue and debate them and prove, like, no, it's right. Honestly, my answer now usually is like, okay. Well, your answer is your life. Well, that's it. They can't take back my experience. And you said like the first key was walking through, getting through it, healing, forgiving, and all of that. But the second key is what you do with it afterwards. Exactly. And can God trust you with that breakthrough and with that victory and with that healing? What are you going to do with it? Just say thank you and be grateful. Yes, that's good. But who else are you going to help? And one thing I love about you is your willingness to share. Yeah. I always say there's no freedom in hiding. There's no freedom for you, and there's no freedom for anyone else. So true. And to set ourselves up as someone who's always got it all together, who never has a thought, should I do this? Or, like you were talking about, the temptation to go ahead. Oh, without a doubt. It was real. Yes. It was real. Well, and when we set ourselves up that way, then we set our image as something that is not attainable. It's not even humanly attainable. So people try to walk toward that and they feel like they fail. But when we take what God has brought us through and the healing, and we let our lives be the proof, that's when things change. Because people can argue all day long with your philosophy or your doctrine, but they can't argue with your experience in your experience, your eyewitness experience, and they also can't argue with love. They can't resist what's true. So when we love people, and I believe that's probably why God said, you just go and speak the words. Yes. You don't worry about it. You just go and pray the prayers, and you don't worry about it. And you leave the results up to me. You just be obedient with what I've given you. And you're doing that. And I think it's absolutely remarkable. I'm already seeing the fruit of that. Yeah.
every time you're on my show.
Well, and here's what's funny is just, again, right, our thoughts, and that's what I kind of talk about. And again, some people don't understand, right? And I don't even use the word Christians anymore, because honestly, that's just kind of like, I don't know, it's just become very pale, very vague, like, right? So I use the word believers, because the believers are actually doing what we believe we're supposed to do, right? And so that's where the quote I came up with, that when I teach, what you believe dictates what you do. Mm-hmm. And I use the word dictates because we look it up, and in the class we actually look up the dictionary term of it. It's a judicial command or a military command. Like, it's not an option, right? So when you kind of figure out, like, you know, and the example I gave was like, we've all dated the wrong person, and then, you know, toxic, and then we're just like, I'm never doing that again, and the next person you got in a relationship with, right? So consciously you're thinking about it, but there's something you're believing about yourself, usually a lie, that it's orchestrating, it's giving that command, it's whatever, right? And so to me, it truly does go back to what you believe. And I think what's interesting is, just like, for example, real estate. I hate the term fake it till you make it, right? And I spoke, was it last Friday? Yeah, last Friday, Independence Title. And that topic came up, right? And I said, I don't like that term, fake it till you make it. I go, because again, in real estate, they usually tell you that. Yeah. I said, one, because the word's faking it. I said, I don't like that. I just try to be real and transparent. I said, but I go, let's just get real. I said, what they're talking about is faith. I said, because faith is believing and speaking, right? I said, but the Bible also says that faith without works is dead. I go, so let's switch works with action, right? So I was standing there and I was like, so I believe and speak, and then I take action, right? I want to be a top producer. I want to be a coach, whatever you want in your life, right? And so instead of like fake it, because to me, fake it's like, you kind of feel like you're being fake. I don't know. No, this is what we're doing. This is my plan. Right. This is the goal, right? Heavenly Father's given me favor, which makes no sense, right? It's just like, okay, that's just part of the benefits of being a believer and being his child. But then we have to take the action, right? And so that's why I tell people around me that I truly believe verses when I read them that say, whatever I set my hand to do prospers. Well, that's action. Yeah. You have to do it, right? Most people just want to, and again, I'm not knocking anyone, I'm trying to help people, but they just want to sit on a couch and pray. And I know what I'm talking about, because I used to be that guy with my spiritual gifts of healing. Yeah. I used to tell the Lord more, what everyone would say, right? Give me more of that, more. And one day, I'll never forget, he was just like, I was sitting on my couch, and my front door of the apartment was right there. And I was sitting there just going, Lord, more, like everyone does. And then he just spoke to me and said, they're not lining up at your door. And I was like, what? And I remember opening my eyes, I'm looking at the door, and I'm like, yeah, they're not. He's like, get in the game, right? Get in the ministry. Like, they're not lining up. You have to go where they're at. And like, he gave me the example. He's like, why would I give you more if you're not even using what I gave you? Yeah. Right? For example, a regular job, not an agent, because we're 1099 and don't have a set schedule per se as far as punching a clock. But if you have a new employee working a 9 to 5, and we've all worked with someone like this, after 2 weeks, they're like, hey, how come I'm not manager yet? It's like, slow your roll, man. You got to prove yourself, right? But again, you have to show up. You have to do things. So I think the same thing with believers. So many times we just think it's like the example I give is a genie lamp, right? We're living our life, doing our stuff, and then problems happen, and it's like, oh, Lord, I need you. Right. What's your wish? What do you? Oh, it's fix this. Heal me of cancer. This, that, whatever. I need $1,000 by Monday, whatever. And then it's like goes back in the thing. We set it, and then we just go on with our life. Yeah. And so I love that, again, like the first time you mentioned that we met, I felt the connection, because spirit knows spirit, right? And so I was thinking about, as we were talking, I think it was about 5 months that you chased me. And it was a big decision for me, because like, I don't just jump brokerages, right? And I had a killer deal where I was at. I was paying a flat fee, very small fee, to my friend that was a broker. But I just saw the opportunity that was here. But honestly, more importantly, like, I just felt like that's what I was supposed to do. In fact, the last time we met, I don't know if you remember this, I told you, but the last time we met, I just had some more questions. I had already talked to some friends that had agents that were at Monument, and I reached out to them, right, and asked them. And so the only complaint from one of them was that we're getting too big. I'm like, if that's the only complaint, like, okay, right? And plus everything else, the leads and all that, which we'll talk about in a second, the VIP leads from Realtor.com, Zillow.com, right? And we're actually setting appointments for people. That's insane. Yeah. But it was just one of those things that I looked at everything. I'm like, okay, I have some questions. And we met again at the formation. I think we were there maybe about an hour. You answered all my questions. And literally, it just came out like, okay, let's do this. And I was like, I remember going, I just said that. And you're like, seriously? And you give me a big hug. And I was just like, you were like, I need some time to think about it. And I did. Like, okay. And then the next thing you're like, okay, I'm ready. I'm right. I know. I was shocked. If he remembers telling me he needs it. I'm not going to mention that. I know I did, because as I said those words, I literally saw them going out. I saw your face smile, and I was like, I just said yes. Yeah. Right. But I already had peace about it. Yeah. And again, that's what my whole goal with this podcast is to help the new agents that are in my pod. And again, it's funny. Nick Patel just texted me. He's like, hey, I want to be on your show. I have other agents that are like, I want to be on your show, right?
Yeah.
So it's cool because the concept originally was to have this podcast for new agents that are on my pod, right? My team. Because I want to interview them now that they're brand new.
Yeah.
I want to interview them in 6 months, in a year.
That's going to be cool.
To see what's happening or what's not happening, right? But it all starts with our thoughts and all of that and mindset. And so, yeah, like I know you teach on it. Plus, I just love you anyways. Like, you're just awesome.
I love you too,
And
JP.
so it's one of those things that I am pleasantly surprised at how well of a job Monument has done. You hear the buzzword culture, but the culture they've designed, because honestly, it's like good people all the way around.
I say all the time, like, we have the best agents in the business, and they're the most professional, and they kill it out there, but we also have the kindest. The kindest, the sweetest agents, and they love each other, which is cool.
They do.
And you don't get growth like we've had, and you don't get the special intangible quality that is Monument. You don't get that with the newest fad or the newest trend, or even systems, and even some of the great things we have. It is the culture that sets us apart.
Absolutely.
And the culture is the people. And
Big
there's
time.
no way around it. So when you gather people together that are like-minded, like-hearted, want to see each other succeed, from the agents, supporting each other, wanting to see each other succeed, to the leadership team, to the ownership, which is, really what got me to Monument, is the heart of the ownership and the way they truly loved the agents.
Yes.
And not just with lip service.
Yeah.
Not just saying it, but actually, instead of nickel and diming people to death, which I've seen so many times in the industry from different brokerages, not all of them, but a lot of times you see that.
You do.
If we're honest.
Yep, for
and
sure.
Instead of that mentality, having the mentality, go find the best agents out there and give them the best of everything you have. Give them the best, use all of your resources to build leverage around them. Use all of your resources to make them, the best possible professionals that they can be. And then when people are happy, they tend to do better.
Oh, without a doubt.
We found out a couple of months ago, we have the highest retention rate in all of Texas real estate. The highest
that
retention
I
rate.
did not know.
We do. And that's to me makes me happy, because that says our agents are happy. They don't want to go anywhere. They want to stay here.
While we're on this topic, tell us a little bit, maybe some of the awards that Monuments won, as far as best place to work. And
Gosh.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was super cool. Last year we won the best small business to work for in Dallas-Fort Worth. Dallas-Fort Worth, you guys.
The whole Metroplex.
That's a lot. And not just the best brokerage, the best. We won it across all industries, from the Dallas Morning News. And of course, we were humbled by that and blown away. And, it was a deal where they don't just interview us, but they send surveys out to every one of our agents. And our agents ranted and raved, and all of them returned, the questionnaire, which was optional, which said a lot. And then, this year we won the best medium-sized company to work for.
Because we're growing so fast.
And do you know that's never happened before?
Back to back.
No, the small business growing to medium-sized business and back to back winning that award. And I think it's because usually as companies experience rapid growth, unusual growth the way we have, their culture gets watered down and it gets lost along the way.
Absolutely.
And it becomes more about the bottom dollar. It becomes more about the, other stuff.
Yes, I
And
agree.
I remember when we won it the first year, my colleague and I, Trisha Andrews, and we had this conversation that we said, no matter what happens, we are not going to lose the core of who we are. We're not going to change, our core values and our core ethics. Systems might change.
Right.
The market will change.
Right.
We know that. Things are always going to be changing, but the core of who we are cannot change.
Right.
The culture has to remain intact. So we've been very intentional about that, because we know at the end of the day, that's what separates us.
Well, and I can speak to that because being the new kid, right? I just joined you guys November 1st. That's what I loved. One, I didn't realize I was just coming in as leadership. I didn't know that was, I knew I was a recruiter, coach, right? But So being in the meetings with everyone, and just honestly, everyone uses the word heart, right? Just the heart. Like everyone wanted to help. There was no stuck-up, arrogant people. No. I loved, in fact, right before I said, yeah, let's go ahead and rejoin Monument. Yeah. I remember you telling me about a top producer. I don't remember how many millions, but he was a big wig, and you guys let him go. Because of the arrogance and the this and the that, and and that spoke volumes to me, because most people will talk about that, right? But then, oh well, he's the golden goose, like he's producing, he's putting up the numbers, right? And that's what I loved. And so to see that you guys were doing basically everything that you told me, the meetings that we had, the phone conversations that we had, that was really cool. And then again, just seeing the heart that they actually care, they want. I mean, just the leads that we provide. I mean, come on. I know. Like, just, what did Eddie say? We're doing 10 million a year? It's insane. Yeah. And the quality of the leads. And then we've got an inside sales team that calls every lead. And sets the appointment for you. That is nuts. Sets the appointment. And the problem is we have way more leads than agents. Correct. And so people are, they always tell me, well, that sounds like a good problem. Unless you're me, trying to be choosy about who comes. Like, if I hired everyone who came in the door, we'd have plenty of agents to take the leads, and we wouldn't have the problem. But then just the standards went down. The standards will go down. And, I was interviewing a large agent. I think his production was about 50 million, and he had done, this, huge reputation in the industry. And I recognized in the interview, he was very arrogant and very entitled and and that's just not who we are. And what I love about working for Monument is we get to choose the people we do business with. That's it. We're not trying to hire everyone with a heartbeat and a license. We're being picky. And the reason I have to be picky is because I love my agents. Right. And one person coming in who is mean-hearted or divisive, dissension-causing, that can hurt the Big agents time. That I love, that are working so hard to have such a great attitude and a positive mindset. And I remember stopping 10 minutes in, and I said, I don't think it's going to be a fit. And I don't think you'll be happy here. I think this is not going to be the place. I don't think either one of us will be happy. And he wasn't happy at the moment, but... Mr. Entitled is not happy. Imagine that. Right, exactly. He didn't get his way. Yeah. Exactly. And so I don't enjoy that part of my job. I don't like to turn. But you know what, Deana? Like leadership, like that's what we do as leaders. It's not always easy. You have to protect too. Well, and not only that, most people don't like conflict. Right. Right. So you weren't a jerk about it. No. You were right. You were just, in fact, I already know your personality. You're probably like inside, oh my God, I have to tell this. Oh. But it's for the betterment of Monument. It's the betterment, like you said, for all the people that you've already laid the foundation and said, this is a standard, right? This is the bar. Yep. But then it's like, okay, now because we have a ton of leads, then the bar, like, how does that make you feel as an agent? So I love that we are doing that. Yes. Because I agree, like, Monument has an excellent reputation. Again, we have more leads than we know what to do with. And I've had agents tell me the same thing, like, oh, that's a good, I was like, not really, because it's like we have, again, goes back to our standard, not just with the agents in recruiting, but with Zillow and Realtor.com. We've told them we're going to handle these leads. We're going to do a great job, right? It's that spirit of excellence, doing the best we can with what we have. Yep. And so, no, it's that balancing act, right? And even for me, being that I was speaking in the Frisco schools with another nonprofit, so that kind of just ended in February, right? So now it's like going. So I was able to speak, like we said, at the title company the other day, picked up someone that wants to join, so interviewed him on Monday. Had another lady that I met, introduced her, or interviewed her on Monday. So she's leaning towards, I'm pretty sure she's going to. I just need to follow up. I told her to follow up with her today. Yeah. And then the other guy is in the middle of taking his classes. So I'm like, man, you have to be all the way done, already have your license. So he told me probably 30 days. He said a month. Yeah. But again, it's just setting the correct expectation and then holding the line. Yes. Because, it would be easy just to whoever. It would. And I pray my people in. I'm like, God, send me the people who deserve the chance that I can help and speak into their lives, and that this is going to be a real game changer for them, and protect me from the decoys. Right, exactly, because they're slick. They're out slick. There too. They're out there too. But as you said, our agents deserve for us to protect that culture. For an agent who is out there and who is just doing everything they can to make things work in this crazy market we're in, those leads can be and are a game changer. Absolutely. And I tell you, one of the biggest blessings of
of my career is bringing agents that I know to Monument. And to be fair, they're already amazing agents doing, they're already out there just knocking it out of the park. But I know what's going to happen when they come to Monument. I know that if they take advantage of all that Monument has to offer, that their production can double or triple in the first year.
Absolutely.
I have seen it happen before my eyes, and it's not a one-off either. It's
it's not a rare thing.
It's normal.
Yeah.
And so they don't know it yet. They don't know it. They just feel something special about Monument, and then they end up joining, and then you watch what happens, and you see their whole business change and their lives change.
Their life,
and they're so happy. One of my favorite things to do, and I think you're smart to do it, interview the agents.
Absolutely.
Because the leadership of a company can tell you everything they want.
Well, that's why I reached out to people that I knew. Because again, when someone's trying to recruit you, whatever, they're going to tell you what you want. So I was like, I want to talk to the peeps that are really doing it.
And they're our best. They're our walking billboards.
Well, because this is the thing. Why would they lie?
Yeah.
Seriously, it's like a third-party referral. Why would they lie? Like
no. Yeah. Well, I love that we're here, as leaders to raise the industry standards and the expectations as far as customers in the industry to do that. And I love that we don't compromise. It's very, very important. Very
Absolutely.
special.
Well, and not only that, just so it's interesting, like I know so many agents at Monument now from speaking, right? So Cody and I came up with a class. Actually, Cody came up with a class and said, hey, I have a value and mindset class that I've been wanting to do. Would you partner with me and you do the mindset part, right? So we did. And I guess he spoke to Angela. So like the last Friday of the month, we do like a mindset class, value and mindset, excuse me. So anyways, I get to meet a lot of them. My point was, so last Friday, no, I guess the Friday before, me being a foodie, right? Like I tell people I love Jesus, real estate, food, and coffee. So it's so we're going to be talking a lot about all that stuff on my podcast.
Yeah.
But no, just to give a shout out to especially Jen Brandt, right? Because she's a rock star. I love Jen. Oh, yeah. But she's just good people, right? And so the example I give is that I wanted to go try this lobster truck, right? That I've been hearing about for about a year. Ended up running into Nick Patel at a happy hour that I was at with Alex, another agent.
Yep.
So Nick walked in. I'd only met him once or twice at that point. I'm like, I think I know this guy. Anyway, so he sees me, John. So yep, I know Nick. And so anyways, we say hi, we connect. Ends up his family member owns this lobster truck. So he's like, hey, Friday they're going to be here. So I'm like, hey, let's get together. So I said, let's get together. I said, do you want to just do like you and me? It was Nick and his wife. I said, just the three of us? Or do you want me to invite? He's like, no, invite everyone. I said, okay. So I invited about 10 people.
Yeah.
Like almost everyone showed up. So usually when you invite, it's about half. So we had Jen Brandt, Mel, Jason, his partner Paul. Who else was there? Letedrin from my team, my pod, and then
you got some of the major rock stars right there.
Exactly, and this is where I'm going with this. And so and Marlo, right? So we're all there. And so apparently the food truck works. It's outside in a parking lot, and there was a bar. So anyways, we're inside a real small table, so we're all kind of together. And so anyways, had a great time. Everyone, right? But again, because I know everyone, I assume everyone knows everyone. I still introduce everyone, but just assume they know. So anyways, a couple days later, Marlo and I grabbed lunch. And so we're just kind of talking about that. She goes, man, like that was really cool. Like talking to Jen, I didn't really know. I was like, you don't know Jen? She's like, no. And so that's just the coolness is like Jen being a rock star still has that humble spirit, right? Where she's just good people.
Nobody like Jen in the world.
Right?
And that's what's special is being able to
give
what I'm
that saying.
Gift. Give them to each other because they're all so special in their own right.
That's what I'm talking about. And so like I didn't realize the impact that it had. Like, she's like, I'm so glad I went. And because she wasn't even thinking about not coming out that night, Marlo. And so she's like, but I went, and then Jen, right? And again, like you said, Jason's there, Mel's there, like, you know what I mean? I'm there. So, and that's what I love about what we do is it's so commingled into our life. You can't really separate it, right? So we're all sitting there talking about clients, how we can better serve them or real life situations that come up or, you know what I mean? Or even as we're sitting there, some other agents are texting their coaches with, you know what I mean? It's just, but I think that was the coolest thing is just Marlo going like, man, that was cool that Jen was there and I was able to talk to her and meet her. She seems really cool. I was like, again, I'm friends with everyone, so I assume they all know each other. Yeah. But again, it goes back to, I think what we're building at Monument is that culture, right? Where like it's just, most people back in the day, you invite them like, well, who all's going?
Right.
I'm like, if you want to come. Like I don't do that anymore, right? Because it's just like, because the thing is, you never know who you're going to meet, and it may be somebody you need to meet. Yeah. But no, it just goes back to our culture, which I think is amazing. So you mentioned some of the awards that we've got. What about the Cowboys and Rangers? Tell us a little bit about that, because that's honestly one of the reasons why I joined for social media.
Yes, well, you said it, because I've almost everybody I know is a fanatical Cowboys fan.
I agree.
And Rangers too. I don't know as much about baseball, so I'm not going to talk about it much, so I don't make a fool out of myself and make the Rangers mad at me.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, just kidding. It's so much fun. But the cool thing about being partners with those two franchises, it's not just the fun. And I will tell you, working at Monument is fun.
It is fun.
And for my personality, that's important to me.
Yeah.
That's one of the major perks. And that has to do with us all loving each other and hanging out together and that sort of thing. So all kinds of cool experiences come with those partnerships. But you hit on one that is super important for our agents, and they get so much value out of the events that the Cowboys throw for us, or the Rangers throw for us. And in some of these events, we get to invite our clients to.
That's right.
Some are just for us.
Yeah.
And our families, and that's super, super cool. But some we get to actually invite our clients to, and they're blown away.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody throws a party like the Cowboys.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody.
I haven't got to experience one yet, but yeah, I haven't got to. I've heard.
Top. And then you're posting on social media.
That's it.
And everybody sees the magic, and they see the fun that we're having, and they know that a franchise like the Cowboys and also Texas Rangers would never partner with somebody unless they too believed in us.
That's right.
And so that kind of, they speak for us, and they speak for how they feel about us.
Well, and to the events, right? Even just inviting your clients, whether they show up or not, it's such a great touch point, and it's huge. And they're going to, when I was at Keller Williams, right, they taught all the 33 touch points a year.
Yeah.
Instead of just like, are you looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, right? Which is what most people do. But here's a legit reason to reach out to them, right? Just like their birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, all that kind of stuff. But they're going to remember that. Even if they don't show up and don't come or whatever, like to get invited, like we have Dak's thing coming up on the 27th of this month.
Very
right?
cool.
Like that's huge.
Yes.
And yes, the ticket prices are higher, but not every event is going to be exactly. But not only that, that's not every event's going to be that expensive.
No.
Right? So there's going to be other ones like you said that are free or just for us. But again, man, if the agents could just get to start posting more on social media because it's free.
Yes.
Right? Just posting. And that's one of the things I talk about in the mind class is just like we go over our thoughts, the negative stuff. Because again, that's what the agents that I've interviewed. Last week we had 3 agents. All of them I've interviewed when they're like, well, I was just going to be positive and that. I said, okay, that's cool. I said, but let's talk about the negative. I go, if you're open to it, like, what were you really, and like, they open up to the craziness that they were hearing, like, you're no good. Who are you? Yourself, right? And so the reason why I want to expose that and talk about it is because most people are having those thoughts. And the way the enemy works, he tries to isolate you where it's just you. You think you're the only one feeling that way or thinking that way or having those thoughts. So like by, again, talking about our stuff.
Yes.
It's like, oh, and that's what I want this podcast to be, is for whether you're a new agent, a seasoned agent, a mega producer, whatever, that you can get, because we're talking about thoughts and mindset that applies to everyone. And not only that, it doesn't just stop with your business in real estate, like it affects your life, right? And so it was cool talking about some of the negative stuff. Because most of them were like, no, and I was like, well, how did you become successful? What did you do? No, I put my mind to it. And like, you hear all that, you read all the books, but I'm like, let's talk about what no one wants to talk about.
Yes.
And I love that they were open to go, well, okay, let's go there. Like I was, thinking this, thinking that. So like for me, when I was going through my stuff 6 years ago, when I lost everything, I never had suicidal thoughts before that. Right. And it's like anything, right? When you're down, that's when the enemy's going to kick you even more. And it was interesting just hearing the thoughts of people. And I can't remember who I interviewed, but they were just like, you got to have self-talk. I was like, yes, I am so huge on that. Right? But then you talk to other people and they're like, well, that's crazy. Or you shouldn't be doing it. It's like, man, I've just realized it doesn't really matter.
Right.
What
and
other people think.
I mean, that's where we come in as coaches too, because sometimes they, the tapes that are, I just dated myself, tapes. The 8-track tapes that are playing in their heads are stories that they've been told along the way by people who have labeled or, sometimes those are, it's not just their inner voice, it's somebody else's voice that they hear playing in their head. And that's where we as coaches come in, because we speak over that.
Big time.
And we make sure that voice that we know is the Holy Spirit, and that's God's voice, that's got to be louder than any other voice that they hear. And so that's part of what our calling is to speak to people about who they are. They may not see that person yet, but seeing that and speaking to that and continuing to give them the narrative about what they should be saying to themselves instead of tearing themselves down. And that's what I love too about all of our agents wanting each other to succeed. And it's huge.
So
it's huge. And I have had agents say, I didn't know to appreciate that till I got here.
Right.
I was always a person that said, I don't need that. I don't need all the support and all the hoopla and the celebration. But they got here and they realized that I'm talking about authentic celebration.
Right.
But I love how even our mega agents, they are so invested in our brand new agents. Because usually when you're a brand new agent coming in, you can't, even if you're at the most supportive brokerage where the leadership will help, none of the agents want to come around and help you. They're all too busy. But none of our mega agents are too busy to stop and help. They come and teach the classes for the new agents. They are there for them if they need their questions answered, and they truly want to see those new agents succeed.
Yeah.
And that to me is very cool.
And because it's funny, you see both of them flourish. You see the existing agent that's successful, right? They're doing what the part of their calling is, whether they realize it or not, by teaching and giving. So then they flourish. Then you have the new agent, which is nervous and scared because everything they had taught at school to get your license was don't get sued.
Right.
Right? And it's like, and then again, I always tease that they teach you just enough to pass the test, but no real world stuff. Yep. So here you have someone that's speaking into you that you can call, right? And it just, again, it just gives you that credibility and that confidence to, okay, I'm not going to screw up. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know what I'm doing. I can reach out and have questions about how many days do I put for the survey on the contract, right? So then you see the new agent flourish. And again, it's just, that's what you mentioned something about it earlier, but I don't want to cut you off because you were talking. But to me, when I went through my stuff, we were talking about love. When I went through my stuff and my experiences and got closer to the Lord and all, started having experiences with him, like I truly found the definition of love, right? Which is giving with zero expectations. Because usually when you're in a relationship, or I don't care if it's just a client, husband, wife, whatever, right? It's like you usually give because you're expecting something or want something back. And then when that expectation isn't met, you get upset, pissed off, bitter, whatever.
Right.
So like just my interactions with the Lord was like, holy cow, no, it's just about giving. And what's cool about that, though, is it's like amazing how you take your power back, right? If you're ever playing the victim, you won't, because you'll pull it back and go, no one can hurt me. Like, no one can get in here. And I think for me, like when I went through my divorce, that was the worst thing that happened to me. She got in my head. For the first time, I was doubting myself. I did, right? Like, and never, ever, I mean, all my friends say, you're the most mentally strong guy I know. Well, it's because I've learned that not every thought is mine. I believe it either comes from God or the devil, right? And more importantly, that I can speak to it. Right. So the example I give when I'm teaching is like Tom and Jerry, right? When something would happen and the cat and the mouse are fighting, right? And it's like the mouse takes off and Tom, the cat, is about to react and he'll freeze the screen. A little angel pops up and a little demon, right? And the demon's like, smack him in the face with a frying pan. And the angel's like, oh, forgive him, whatever, right? So like that really, I believe that's where our thoughts come from, the spiritual realm, right? The unseen world, I call it sometimes. But so you have the angel and the demon. And so, yes, they're telling you what they want you to do, right? Influence, whatever. But here's the beauty that I always tell people. I was like, who's in the middle? You are. Yeah. So you get to pick. Because so many people just feel like I have this thought. There was a guy I helped. He was addicted to pornography. And so, talked to him, prayed with him, whatever. He felt something. He felt he got set free. So the next week he comes back. He's like, hey, I need you to pray again. He said, and I was like, oh, did you mess up? Did you? He's like, no, actually I didn't, but I keep having thoughts. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's it? And he's like, what do you mean that's it? I go, those aren't your thoughts. He's like, what? I said, those aren't your thoughts, bro. I said, that's the enemy trying to get you back. I said, did you watch it? Like, just be honest. He's like, no, I didn't. And I remember his face. He was like, oh my gosh. He goes, I was beating myself up. And then the other thoughts started coming and go, see, you didn't get healed. And I just thought, so again, just having interactions with people that I don't know, like, why would they lie to me, right? They're telling me this stuff. Right. And so it's like, so I just told him, I said, bro, I said, you remember the verse that says that, right, when something's cast out, it's going to go around, look, and come back with 7 of its ugly cousins that are worse, right? Like trying to. I said, so that's what's happening. Oh my gosh. I go, so here's the thing. There's another verse that says you have the power to speak to this thing and tell it to go, right? So again, just didn't realize I was educating and teaching people, but I'm like, that's what it is. So by going through my own stuff, that's why I have the confidence. It's not like I just read a book or, and regurgitating. Like, no, this is my life. I've experienced this. So it is cool, like you said, when we're flowing in our thing, doing our purpose, our destiny, and like I call them aha moments, right? They just open their eyes or like, oh my gosh. And so here's this guy feeling bad and dirty, right? And the enemy's lying to him, like, see, nothing happened. Right. You didn't kick this. You didn't get healed, right? And so, again, just it all starts with our thoughts.
Well, and that's an example of you being a voice that's louder than the voice he's hearing.
Ooh, I love that.
And that's, that voice is the Holy Spirit. But it takes somebody to speak it out, and you spoke to that, and you just cast truth on that. And so that enlightened, and that he walked away with a different narrative.
Oh, and honestly, he told me it was a game changer. He's like, and I said, bro, it doesn't just apply to this.
Yeah.
It applies to it, right? And so like my favorite verse, in fact, Cody asked me the other day on social media, kind of give me a little challenge. Me and two other guys. He's like, what's your favorite verse that'll encourage whatever? And so again, speaking about the thoughts, to me, my favorite is John 10:10, right? It's Jesus. If you have your old school Bible, it's in red. So Jesus is speaking. And to me, Jesus very simply drew a line in the sand and said everything that has to do with stealing, killing, or destroying is from the enemy, the devil. On the other side of the line is Jesus, and he said everything that has to do with life and life more abundantly is from me.
Yeah.
So in the video that I sent to Cody and posted it on there, I said, so every thought that has to do with stealing, killing, or destroying is from the devil. Pretty simple, right? But so many people have not ever thought about that or heard that. And so it just helps you when you have these thoughts, because Latedrin, right? I interviewed her last week. She's someone on my pod. She was actually my first recruit. When I was just interviewing her, we were talking. And she's like, will you speak on mindset? Tell me a little bit. So we're talking about that. And I said, well, the biggest thing I just realized that not every thought is ours. And she goes, hold on, what'd you just say? Like, this is just in the interview. She hadn't even written. I remember she just going, I said, no. I said, not every thought that we have. I said, I personally, and again, I never assume that anyone's a believer or whatever. Right. I just said, I don't know if you believe in God. I go, but I do. I said, and I truly believe they come from the spiritual realm. I said, so, and I remember her face. I mean, she was literally like this going, you know what? That makes sense. Some of the thoughts and what you're saying makes and so that's it. Like when you're speaking truth, and they know, like, oh my God, I'm not trying to sell them a book. I'm not taking an offering. I'm not asking for their business or anything. Like, it's just truly, again, because of the crap that I've been through, to be able to help someone. So I just love how it's just all mixed together, right? Yes. With now doors are opening for me to speak at title companies and right, this mortgage company, Benchmark Mortgage. Like, I just want to thank Tom Sherman. Like, he's amazing, right? Connected with him about a month ago. Yeah. And he's a believer. Okay. And I actually met him through Cody, but they had an event at the country club in McKinney, and it was an ex-Navy SEAL guy. And so he was speaking, right, to probably about 60, well-to-do people. And like, that's what the Lord has shown me that I would be doing, right? And I still see it. I see those kind of events. I see bigger arenas. And so Tom and I have connected, and he kind of heard a little bit about my story. He's like, send me an outline. He's like, I want to put you in front of some people, right? Yeah. And he knows I'm charging. And so it's amazing how my gifts and talents are able to be intertwined with real estate coaching. And again, if all of us will be conscious of it and just kind of look for that, it really is, because that's the way we're designed. Yeah,
and when you think about, what the word says, that all things work together for good for those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. And when you think about that, if you really believe that, and my verse that I'm really focusing on this year is, the Lord will perfect that which concerns me. And so if I truly believe that all things work together for good, not just some, and that my steps are ordered by the Lord, then if I'm John Peterson, I'm going to look back at all of the dark days. Yes. And know they had to happen to make you who you are. Yep. To build that substantial character in you, so that you would have not just the metal, but the experience, and then who you are on the other side of it, to be able to do what you're going to do in the future. It's all schooling. It is. It's all on-the-job training. It is. And so when you begin to, and I don't want to pretend like that's always my attitude. No, of course not. Because I'm a very, you might not believe this, but I'm a very emotional person. Can be a little impulsive. And so my first thought is, when something goes wrong, jump into action, try to fix it. Right. There's a mania about it. And then I have to stop and say, the Lord will perfect that which concerns me. I need to chill and get still and listen to God and ask myself, what am I supposed to learn through this so that I can be more relevant the next time. Relevant. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I knew what you meant.
Hard
I knew
word.
what you meant.
But that I can be more relevant the next time God puts me in front of somebody who needs it.
Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you that what you said is so important, because as I was going through all this crap, because it was years of just, like, it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
And I remember just going, like, my I don't know if it was my mom or dad, but they would always say, like, what's a common denominator? Can't be everybody, John. Right? And so with my situation, it seemed like this is messing up. So finally, I just got to the point where, like, Lord, is it me? Like, and it wasn't, right? And so, I was married and she was a narcissist. So then I started thinking, am I the narcissist? And I remember the Lord one day going, just you asking yourself that question, John, proves that you're not.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, okay, thanks, Lord.
Good point.
And so, exactly. And so I couldn't comprehend what I was going through, other than that I was supposed to go through, right? Kind of like Joseph. And so, but that was a hard part for me, is because it was years and it didn't make any sense, right? But to me, it was just honestly a challenge if I'm going to walk in love.
Yeah.
Stay in forgiveness, right? But here's what I wanted to bring up, that point you're talking about when I was going through all my bad stuff, is that verse, right? That says that I'll give you the peace that passes all understanding. So my John Peterson translation is, you can have peace when it doesn't make sense.
Right.
I had peace through all of that. Even when I went to jail, like the miracles that were happening in there, like dudes were getting healed. Like, it was nuts. It was nuts. And I ended up there because of the lies that right? And it's just, because I remember thinking, like, we're right before we're going to see the judge, and my lawyer comes to me and she's like, Mr. Peterson, I just have to say, for a man in your position, you're extremely calm. Like, you're looking at 6 months in jail. I said, well, Ms. Howard, I don't know if you know the Lord or believe in the Lord. I said, but I do. I said, I have not done anything. I have not done anything. So if I'm going to go to jail, then I'm supposed to, and I don't know. Right? And so when I was there, thank God I only had to do 3 weeks. But the miracles that were happening, and like, so I started journaling. So that's one of the books I'm writing. I have 90 pages. Yeah. And I also have the testimonies on their written, like the inmate, what happened, and like their name and their inmate number, right? All that kind of stuff. And it was just like, honestly, one of the best experiences of my life.
Well, peace is not the absence of turmoil. It's not the absence of turmoil. It is being able to look through the turmoil.
Yeah.
And through the present situation, and God works all things together for good for those who love God and are called according to his purpose. It goes back to that. And sometimes you just have to settle your mind and settle your heart on that knowledge.
And what happened to me, it wasn't until I read the Bible for myself. Because Jesus actually says, you're going to have tests and trials. It's going to get crazy. They hated me first. Right? So it's like, but there's churches, religions, whatever you want to call it, like, that are out there preaching the opposite. Like, oh, you get saved, like everything's peaches and cream, and you have this little bubble around you, and like, that's not reality. So to me, that's kind of messed up, because the expectation is set with the people that if anything bad is happening to you, then you're not walking in God's will, right? And so to me, because when I'm done teaching, in fact, that's how I met Vic. I was doing a 4-week seminar at the Upper Room every Monday night, teaching on healing and identity. And I remember the second week, him and his wife got there about 20 minutes early. We're talking, and he's like, hey, why is no one, like, what you spoke last week, I've never heard. He goes, and I even talked to my coworkers, and they're like, I've never heard it either. He goes, but then I looked it up in the Bible, and like, yeah, it's there, right? I said, I don't know, bro. I said, I speak from what I went through. I said, but honestly, I just think if someone is going to stand behind the pulpit and preach, they should probably read the Bible first. Because so many, it's not, you're laughing because you know what I'm talking about. It's just like, and so to me, that's why I can speak with such conviction and confidence, and like know that I'm right concerning my situation and with the experiences I had with the Lord. Because I'm telling you, like, I just, sometimes I think about starting a separate YouTube channel just to talk about the supernatural, like crazy stuff that I still think is crazy, but it happened, right? And just some of the testimonies, and people, like, I've had people give testimonies where when I had the online talk show, in fact, Vic and his wife were on guest years ago, but they were just like, John, I remember like my life before you prayed for me and after, right? And I always tell them, like, it's not me. Like, I don't want you to think that you have to come back to me, because the same Holy Spirit that was in Jesus, according to the Bible, is the same Holy Spirit that's in me, that's in you, that's in every believer, right? So I was like, this is more discipleship, that I'm training you, right? If you need to come back, absolutely. But don't be dependent on me. I go, because if you have something crazy happen at 3 a.m, you can't get a hold of me, right? You have to. And that's what I love about what we're doing as coaches, is honestly, it's discipleship. If you look at it in its purest form, it's discipleship.
It is.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I love it. Love it.
Yep. So I don't know. It's just, I've enjoyed Monument. Like I said, my contract's over with speaking in the schools now, which is funny because I just got a text. I showed Victor, the Fellowship Christian Athletes. I had met the guy that does the whole DFW area.
Oh, awesome.
So he's like, man, we want you to come speak. This is months ago. Well, anyways, I got a text 2 days ago. So he's hooking me up with a guy in Frisco. But again, like I want to use those as all lead generating. When I spoke to the title company, got someone. Right? When I spoke at Radican in Arlington, had someone that wanted to get interviewed, hired me as their coach. You know what I mean? So it's just, it's people. It's at the end of the day, it's people and just loving on them and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I'm super excited about everything that's going. And that's why I wanted to start the podcast, was just so we could have that mindset speeches. We could have those things that are doing and going, and Cody's trying to get my attention. I was ignoring him on purpose.
Oh, I get to see Cody.
Yeah, absolutely,
right.
absolutely.
Perfect.
And so, so it's just, I don't know. I'm excited about everything that's happening. So I just want to thank you.
Me too. Oh,
I appreciate it. And
Thank
so as we
you.
wrap up, we got about another minute or two. Is there anything you would like to share, or with the audience, or about Monument? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I would just say, what I like to leave with people, and especially agents, because they do have a career, a calling to change hearts and change lives. That it's not always just about helping someone buy or invest or sell, or sometimes you're there for more than that. And so I like to charge real estate professionals out there, if I could leave one thing with you, it's this: take yourself seriously. Take your life and your career and your dream that you've invested so much into, take it seriously. Give yourself the best possible springboard that you can. And invest in yourself, believe in yourself, believe you are here for a reason and for a purpose. And get to know people like John Peterson. Your life will be better for it.
Love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up, I ask all my guests one last question. Actually, you know what? Before I want to catch this on tape.
Yes.
So talking about listening to our thoughts in the Lord. So every time you ask me to speak on Good Morning Monument, which I think is the second Thursday of every month, right? I always ask the Lord, like, what do you want me to teach on? Right? And so tomorrow, and they're not going to hear this, so it's not going to give it away, because this won't be produced for probably about 3 weeks. But anyway, so I was just asking the Lord a couple weeks back, like, what do you want me to, and he's like, part of my mindset class, I speak about why not you? Right? Why not me? Why can't I be a top producer? Why can't I be, right?
Yep.
And so anyways, I'm like, okay, so, again, just the way Holy Spirit speaks to us at different times during the day, I'll just open up and write that note down. So listening to Good Morning Monument on Monday and Tuesday, that's the theme.
Yep.
Like, don't give up,
See,
and
I love that.
that's what I'm saying.
Yep.
And like, if people will understand that, because I've had Holy Spirit when I'm, working with a buyer, like, Lord, I'll ask them, like, what should we offer? I'll hear a number. We do that. We win the bid. Or we'll walk into houses sometimes and the Lord's like, this is the house. I don't run to the person and go, hey, the Lord said this is your house. Like, but as conversation comes up and they're like, well, what do you think? And this, and I'm like, well, I kind of feel like this could be So if we'll just listen to that inclining, but I wanted to share that with you. So tomorrow it's going to be about that. Why not me?
Can't wait.
Why can't I be a top producer? Why can't I be the top dog? Why can't I make $300,000 a year?
That's what I'm saying. If you have a dream, don't let anybody talk you out of it.
Exactly.
They may not understand your dream. But that's okay. It's not their dream.
Well, and I love the quote, and this applies to you and me. It's like, if people hang around us long enough, we'll make them believe that they're unstoppable.
Yes.
Right? Because it's
Absolutely.
like, it's who you hang out with. So last question, we got about 30 seconds. So based on your life, if you were to write a book, what would the title of your book be?
Oh, John, what would the title of my book
Of Deana
be?
Custer's life, what would your...
Relentless.
Ooh, I like that.
Relentless.
Okay, and why?
Oh, because God's love is relentless. He has chased me down through every season, there is no place too low, too far, too high, too wide that his love won't chase me down.
Great answer.
And he's been relentless with me, and that's the way I want to love other people.
So awesome. Well, what a great note to end on. So thank you guys for joining us today.
Yeah.
So what are we, March 2022? So probably early 2023, you'll see a book in Barnes & Nobles called Relentless by Deana Custer. So no, seriously, want to thank you guys. Appreciate you spending the time. Again, our podcasts are going to be 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, just however the conversation flows. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below and let me know if I can help you. Thank you, ma'am. See ya.